Hello, welcome to part 2 of your week 4 video series. Today we are going to be reviewing the last 2 elements of your notebook, which is the mentor sentence and the argumentative paragraph. And I will probably do the majority of the mentor sentence with you, as this is your first one this quarter and you probably don't remember how to do it very well. I generally forget how to do things that I haven't done in a few months too. So go ahead and pause the video and find and open your notebook. Okay, we are on this page in your notebook, the mentor sentence page. It says, doctors thought bad blood accumulated and stagnated in the body and needed to be removed. This is a sentence from the How They Croaked, George Washington, Little Mouth of Horrors by Georgia Rex. So this is directly from our story. So let's go and look at it now. So in mentor sentences, we have 3 sort of tasks we need to do. We need to notice things about the sentence, which is where our questions come into play. We also need to answer the question. Label the sentence. That's what I'm trying to say. We also need to label the sentence, which means we need to recognize what type of words are being used in the sentence, and then we mimic the sentence where we use the exact same type of words in the exact same place with totally brand new ideas. All right? So let's go ahead and begin. Sometimes it's nice to start with the type of sentence, but you can also just go directly into labeling here. So we have doctors, which is any guesses? Yes, it's a noun, and it's also a subject. Thought is an action that they're doing, so that's a verb. Bad is a descriptive word, and it's describing the word blood. And with descriptive words, we need to know what type of word is being described, because if it's describing a verb or it's just describing an adjective, then it's an adverb. But if it's describing a noun, then it's an adjective. Well, blood is a noun, so that means that bad is an adjective because it's describing a noun. Okay? So, doctors thought that bad blood accumulated and stagnated. Any ideas? These are both verbs. These are things that they thought these things did. And then and is a conjunction that combines words together or phrases, different things like that. Then we have in, which is a preposition. Prepositions are words that, there's like only a few of them. Some of the words that are the hardest to label are actually the ones that only have a few options. So prepositions, there aren't that many prepositions in the world. In, of, with, through, around. There's more than that, but those are the ones that come into my mind. And remember, they show the relationship between 2 nouns. So we are talking about the relationship between blood and then what blood did in the body, which is a noun as well. So that is our other noun. So when we have a preposition, there's always nouns on both sides of it because we're showing the relationship between this noun and this noun. So in this case, it's where the blood is, which is in the body. The word the is one of those other words that sometimes is hard to remember what it is, but there's only 2 of these. Article, it's an article, which means one, and there are only 2 articles in the English language, which is the and a, and that's it. We already know body is a noun. We already know and is a conjunction. Needed is so needed is a verb as well because it shows what something like needs to be done, to do, right? Then this one, and this is why I paused for a second because this part is a little tricky, but I also gave you these words below because it's not a big deal if you know these off the bat. because to is often a preposition. However, in this case, there is not a noun on either side of it. There's actually verbs. So I had to double check to make sure I was right. It is an adverb because it's actually describing the verb be, which is a being verb, and removed is a verb as well. So we have quite a few verbs in this sentence, which would be an interesting feature for our next question. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 verbs. That's a lot. I love it. Strong sentences have lots of verbs. Lots of verbs. Oftentimes writers will focus on having lots of adjectives and describe things that happened, as opposed to giving all of those adjectives action, and it makes it a stronger sentence. Verbs are the strongest word in the English language, the type of word anyways, and they make our writing much stronger when we have verbs. So this is a strong sentence because it has so many verbs in it. I love it, instead of a lot of adjectives. All right, type of sentence. If you recall, type of sentence has to do with how many clauses we have, so we kind of need to answer the next question first. How many clauses do we have? We have doctors thought, okay, and stagnated in the body and needed to be removed. We have lots of verbs, and this is where we need to be careful when we get into these more complex sentences that have all these verbs and all this nice strong language, to notice how many clauses are actually there. Because just because there's a lot of verbs doesn't mean there's a lot of clauses. A clause, as you recall, is a combination of a subject-verb together. Well, doctors is a noun, yes, but it is the subject of the sentence, right? Because it is the noun that is doing the action. Subjects are the ones that are doing the action. Doctors thought. That is the only clause. So there's only one, which means that although this is a nice long sentence with a lot of verbs, it is a simple sentence. Yeah. And in this case, we only have one punctuation mark, which is a period at the end, which we've discussed before. But again, this means that two things when we have a period at the end of a sentence. One, stop, sentence is over. The sentence is over, and the sentence is a statement. How a sentence is punctuated at the end tells us how we're supposed to read it. You literally can just change the period to a question mark, and it is suddenly a question. That's all you have to do. Okay, this brings us to the mimic stage. This is the part that I'm going to have you do on your own. Notice that I have left some words in there for you. I'm going to let you know, though, that, oh, I left B for you. Okay. So make sure that you use the same type of verbs. So the verbs that end in ED, you will want to use, those are past tense. You want to make sure that you use past tense verbs here as well. So you could say bananas precipitated, angry bees, frustrated, and pooped in the sewer and contemplated to be happy. Oh no, it's got to be another verb. To be appalled. Okay, it's just silly, it's goofy, it doesn't need to make a lot of sense. Try to just think of the first words that pop in your head. So go ahead and pause the video now and finish this. If you haven't already followed along, copy what I have down and then finish your mimic. All right, now for the last part of your notebook, which you will do tomorrow, is the argumentative paragraph, where you are going to write an argumentative paragraph convincing classmates if George Washington should be remembered as a hero or not. So this week we've read different articles with different perspectives about George Washington, and how he did these wonderful things for the country and won the Revolutionary War and led the army, etc. But he also owned slaves, and his relationship with slavery and what he thought about that and how he acted around that. We read articles that made him sound, kind of like a contradiction and a hypocrite and not a good man because he had slaves, but we also read articles that talked about how he didn't have a choice. They were legally his. He tried to be nice to them. He tried to free them, right? So you now need to decide, after reading all these different things, which one do you want to believe? Do you think we should remember him as a hero or not? So your topic sentence should say exactly this. George Washington should be remembered as a hero, period. Or, if you're on the other side of the argument, your topic sentence will say, George Washington should not be remembered as a hero, period. Okay? Then, after that topic sentence, you want to make sure that you are being persuasive. So keep in mind your logos, ethos, and pathos, and how we're going to try to be logical. We're going to try to emotionally persuade, and we're trying to have good credibility, speak with confidence, things like that. So one thing that I don't want you to do when you're doing argumentative writing, don't say the word I at any time in an argumentative paragraph. When you say I think, I believe, in my opinion, or I guess so don't say my either, you shouldn't exist in this paragraph. It is your opinion because you wrote it down. It's on the page. We're going to write in third person writing, which means you don't exist. You're just going to say things like you're just watching it happen, right? So the reason we do that is because it gives it more credibility. It sounds more confident and stronger writing. When you start saying, I think, it makes you sound weaker as a writer. So we actually use that technique when we're talking to someone that we're trying not to offend in real life. We might not want to like offend our friend when we're giving them our opinion about what they're doing. So they'd be like, you'd be like, I think this, but it's okay if you don't, right? That's kind of what that implies. Well, in our argumentative writing, you don't need to worry about being offensive. You're trying to be persuasive, right? So yeah, you're going to be kind. You're not going to say anything really mean, but you still want to have a strong opinion and try to persuade people that you're right. Make sure when you use words in this that you don't use any words that sort of contradict yourself. So if you're going to say that George Washington should be remembered as a hero, you probably don't want to talk about as evidence that he had slaves and he tried to capture them and hunt them down. Those are terms that would be sort of contradictory to your overall point. So if you were going to convince us that he should not be remembered as a hero, you probably don't want to use words like hero, father of our country. You don't want to have those nice sounding terms. So make sure the words match your topic. Okay? And then for your evidence, you can use any type of evidence we've discussed this year. So you can use personal anecdotes, you can use textual evidence, so you can use any of the articles we've read this week as evidence. That would be a great way to start, great place to start. And try to remember to put things that you quote from text in quotation marks and do that correctly as well. All right, that is it for this week. Reminder to do your argumented paragraph tomorrow, and then on Friday you're going to work on iReady and finish your notebook and submit by Friday.